Okay, let's talk about shared folders. Now, you heard me mention this once before when we were installing our industrial automation software. It's going to take on a whole new meaning now when we're talking about having snapshots. First, let's go back to how we would set up a shared folder. So I'm going to go to VM, Settings, and then the Options tab. There's a shared folders option here. You'll have to enable it, and I like to say always enabled. If you move a virtual machine or borrow one from a friend, it'll probably start out as disabled, so you'll have to come back in here and enable it again. Right now I don't have the Revs hard drive installed, but I had previously mapped this so that I could install my Rockwell software. And any other folders I want to share here, I can. Now, any folder or drive that my host machine has access to, I can share it with the virtual machine. There are a few reasons why we want to share the folders like this. One is that the virtual machine, we talked about it like a sandbox, right? It's kind of isolated. And we don't want to give it access to everything because we don't have antivirus or any other protections on it. So we want to keep it isolated as much as possible. Now, I'll typically have a folder right in my C drive, a projects folder, something like that, that I'll give my virtual machine access to, but I don't give it access to, generally speaking, networked drives. I don't usually give it access to, I certainly don't give it access to my operating system files on my host. And just keep that in mind, only for project files. So this checkbox here is important. Sometimes I'll forget to click it and then I say, well, where the heck is my shared folder? When this is checked, the shared folder ends up, I'll show you where it ends up. If I open this up, shared folders will all end up here and they'll look kind of like a network drive. If I don't check that box, I actually don't know where they show up. So if you want to explore that, go ahead. Something to keep in mind is some installers don't like running off of a network drive. So even if it's local on your host machine, as far as your virtual machine is concerned, anything in here is a network drive. So it may or may not work. You might have to copy something from that shared folder onto your desktop or wherever else to get it to install. Now, I want to talk about why you want to use a shared folder for all of your project-related files. And this relates to snapshots a little bit, but it also relates to security and having access to the same files for multiple virtual machines. Now, any file that I have inside this virtual machine, if I go up here and take a snapshot, okay, great. I have that file saved forever in that snapshot until I get rid of the snapshot. What if I go back to a previous snapshot? Maybe that file was there, maybe it wasn't. And if we store important files that we're using for projects, say your ladder logic file or your camera program file, whatever it is, if I'm storing that on my virtual machine, now I can't use my snapshots the way I'd like to. I can't always have that safe place to come back to without losing all my files. And that's a big bummer. So, like I mentioned, I always have a projects folder that's on my host, and I store all my project files in there. Now, keep in mind some software packages, for example, Factory Talk View, that's the Allen Bradley HMI software, likes to have its project files local on the virtual machine. So you'll have to remember for applications like that to back it up, make a backup file, and put that backup file into your shared folder so that it's on your host. Well, that's about it. Go have fun, make yourself some shared folders, and we'll see you next time.